Jesse, how are you? How's your morning been?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. Ready to take the first poll. How about our first icebreaker of the day? How many tabs do you currently have open?
Okay, I can't count them, Jess, personally. Too
I know you can't.
many. Awesome. Jasmine, how many do you have open?
I'm doing well today. I'm sitting at a solid 7. Go me.
Oh, not bad. Very good.
Oh,
Very good. Excellent. Okay. Welcome to the webinar, everyone. We're going to get started. I know everybody's busy. We might have a few more people joining, but we're going to get started. So thank you very much for your time. As you can see, and as you probably have read already, we're going to focus on the agreements. What is an agreement in the platform, and how does it work, and why is it worth your time investing to capture the agreement data in the platform? So let's get started. So the agreement, we use the word very loosely, as I've mentioned before, because, depending on the industry that you're in, depending on the company, the organization that you're in, depending on the country that you're in, this could mean really different things. But at a high level, if I may explain, there's two types. One where the pay data is captured as bands, min and max for the hourly rate, min and max for the salary, min and max for the casual rate, and one where it's an exact pay point, level 1, level 2, so to speak. And I'll use the word level very loosely. In different awards and different industries, it's called slightly different. But nevertheless, it's all based on grading, which relies on education level and experience level, stuff like that. That's just at high level, what that data is based on. And therefore, it can be entered as a band between a blah and a blah, or an exact pay point. And we can cater for both. So when you're doing a new agreement, you give it a name, such as, let's do another banding system. I've created one called market-based banding system.
Yeah, not sharing your screen.
Oh, I'm not sharing. Sorry, guys. One sec. Not sure what happened. I was sharing on. Interesting. Okay. Here we go. All right. So I'll start again then, guys. Apologies, I'm not sure what happened. I thought I was sharing. So all I did is just came to the agreements page. I think most of you have seen it. And I was explaining that there's two levels, the banding system or exact pay points, and I'm going to create an agreement. Let's do another banding base. So I'm going to call it market analysis based banding system. And we're going to create it. So then we open it and it's empty at the moment. We click on those three dots in here and we add a job family. So as I did before, we'll do this together. Imagine, from my own experiences, I've worked with a number of clients in the mining industry. So for example, we're going to call this the machine operators job family, machine operators. And for that job family, all the hours per week is 38 hours per week, or you can enter it based on a fortnight. So it's up to you. The rate, this isn't just the data entry, whether, for example, if for that job family, all you hire is permanent full-time, you don't need to enter the rates. You only choose the salary. If you hire both permanent full-time as well as fixed term, for example, therefore you need both the hourly rate in this case, or could be daily rate, whatever it might be, as well as the salary. So that's really what that is, whether you want to capture only rates, only salaries, or both. So we're going to do both. Is it pay points or is it band? This is where you indicate that. That's the thing I was talking about before, where the difference between doing exact pay points, such as an award or a band. We're going to choose a banding system so everything becomes minimum maximum. So the new band, I'm going to call it here. This could be the clients I've worked with. They use a reference number from those surveys or from something they built internally. So they internally have a unique position number, or whatever they call it, or a banding number code, let's call it. for that particular band. In this case, machine operator, it's L5.23, for example, yeah? And minimum is going to be 50 to 60, and the casual rate 65 to 75. The minimum salary is 75,000 to 85,000. Sorry. Okay, and the tolerance, we will talk about it later, but just later on, you can create rules based on the tolerance. So if the hiring manager or whoever is making the final offer, capturing the final offer in the platform, if they're able to go over by more than 20%, then excuse me, above the maximum by more than 20%, you can create rules, in particular rules around whether an approval will be required or whether they can just continue business as usual because the business has already approved that we're hiring someone with this min and max. It's not too important right now as part of this. We're just going to put 20%. We're going to do a new band. I'm going to call it L6.45 just to make it random enough for you to realize you can type what you want to type in here. But that would be something that you have, it relates to your own system for that unique band. $60 to $70 and 70 to 90 and maybe in here 80,000 to 95,000. And this is 20 as well, and we're going to save it. So this is now the data here. It's sitting right at the bottom. I hope that you can see it, guys. Not much margin at the bottom, but that's the job family I've created, and under it there's two bands. I can go back and add another job family. I'm going to call it the engineers, and I'm going to enter it as 76 per fortnight, just to show you that you can enter it per fortnight. We're going to make it only salaries and add a pay point just to make it different. Pay level is E for engineers, I'm going to call it 52.1, and the standard salary is, this is a pay point, not a band, pardon. Okay, start again, engineer 52.3, and the minimum salary is 75 to 90,000, and 20% tolerance. And one more band and we'll be good. E53.4 and 75 to 90. We'll do this 85,000. This is a bit boring, guys. Thank you for putting up with me, but I promise you we're done with this. 100,000. Okay, 20%. So you can see now we've created a brand new agreement. Happened to be a band-based agreement and happened to be a private based on market analysis, competitiveness of the industry, your own brand, etc. And we created two job families. Each job family happened to have, this has got two bands, this has got three bands. Doesn't have three. I don't know why this is empty. Let me just delete it. Don't know what that is.
Anwar, Jane has a question regarding the period option.
Awesome.
So Jane has asked, can the period option in creating the job family be other than weekly or fortnightly, for example, daily? Do you think you could add in an option, an example there
Yes.
as a casual rate as well?
Of course, let me just go back there just to make sure everybody on the same page and myself to understand it. Just 1 second. So it's a job family, brand new job family. I'm going to call it exactly that. So for example, IT stuff. Okay. And so when you say daily, full-time hours per period. So this is, how can that be daily? I'm not really sure if this is relevant here, as opposed to, do you mean the pay rate, you pay people daily? That would be sort of different. That would be the hourly rate. I'm so sorry. Is that what you mean? Ah, so
Yes.
you
Yeah,
might
James
want to
could
pay
like.
people daily. Oh, yes. Yes. It's actually interesting. It's actually interesting. Although it's called hourly rate, and you're absolutely right, we should name it accordingly, and we should, but you can actually use it as it is now, because later on, when you start to talk about if it's, for example, fixed term and we pay people daily, you can do it. I'll show you a bit later on. But you're right, it might be misleading because, in other words, you can treat the hourly rate as becoming the rate, which is the in your case the daily rate. But I take your point on board, and we will sort it out. You're
Perfect.
absolutely right. Yes. Okay. So that's sorted. Thank you for the comment. Very good point. All right. So now that we created this thing here, the other option was already created. Instead of me going through it, I'll just open that. Happened to be a award, and you can see now it's all based on pay points. There's no min and max. So really, that's the only difference. So you get the drift how within the same organization, you can have a bunch of awards and a banding, if you like. I don't know if that makes sense, but maybe for head office staff versus people on the ground in a different environment, different country, in different markets, it's possible. Nevertheless, it's very flexible. You can use the agreement page. Really, it's quite free to capture all sorts of data. Now, why we're capturing this data? What do we do with this data? If we go into the positions here, we're going to create now a position that will pull the data from that. Forgive me for the from the award. Sorry, the banding system that we created. So we're going to create a machine operator. I'm going to call it junior, and create. In the engagement here, we say, look, it's an employee because some of our clients hire volunteers, some of our clients also hire external contractors, so that's what that is. And we want to add also students. There's an engagement as well between students and companies. I don't think they get paid. They would be doing research from a university, I think, as I understand it. But that's what that is. It's just a high level before you start to talk about employment type. So you say it's an employee. Is it common law? Is it predefined? It's predefined because that's what we've just done. You find the agreement. This is the one that we created. Now the one we created together is this. And the job family, we will pick the machine operator. In the bands, we will pick the lower band because that's the junior. Yeah. And now that we did that, the question becomes, how do we hire for machine operators? Do we only hire permanent full-times? I'm going to assume that's the case, and I'll just set it up just for the permanent full-time. If you also hire other part-time as well, that's fine. We just ask you to do a typical, it's just a starting point. That can be changed when you're actually recruiting. But we ask you for how many days a week roughly. We can enter that as a FTE, so 0.6 for 3 days, or if you prefer to enter it as hours per period, you can enter it as hours per period, but we reverse it for you. So as you notice, when I said FTE, because we know how many hours per week, we were able to turn it into the hourly rate down here. And vice versa, if you enter it per hourly rate, we'll let you know what it means for FTE. So if I enter here, this is $20, 20 hours per week, it's going to tell me it's 0.53 for FTE. And that's because we know it's 38 hours per week. Cool, so let's leave it at that, FTE, and we're going to go back and say it's 3 days, 0.6. And so now we basically said for a machine operator in our business, a junior machine operator, we only hire on that basis. We don't do fixed term, we don't do casual. That's cool. So now we can close this and we can create another one, maybe machine operator or senior, okay? Whatever you want to do. And then what I'll do then, I can dig into the same agreement and choose this band. I think you got it now. You know how it all works, right, guys? For example, if you've got another example that makes sense for you to understand the data architecture and that single source of truth and the relationship between the data, between the agreement data and between the positions data. That's a perfect example of what we just did together here. But the other example would be if you have a award with pay points, and you've got level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 to make it simple. And then you can then do the architecture inside in terms of the people that you hire, how you hire. You can structure your unique positions to be a junior nurse or a graduate nurse, a junior nurse, mid-level, and senior nurse. And then they can even overlap. You can see why this data architecture is powerful. You can say the junior nurse is level 1 to 3. Mid-level is maybe 3 to 6, and then a senior is 5 to 10. It becomes really flexible as opposed to be hard-coded one-to-one. It's a very powerful data architecture. I hope this makes sense. I'm not boring you guys. I'm a bit of an IT nerd, as you know. So we're going to do the same with this. It's permanent full-time and permanent part-time. We're going to start with 0.5 with this one. It's just a default. It doesn't mean much at this stage. So the way we perceive this, guys. Oh, sorry.
Anwar, could you add an example for the casual rate in there as well? We have a few, so Jane, Farah and Christy, they all hire teachers on a daily casual rate. So Jane has just asked to elaborate what hours you'd add in to put in a period option for a daily casual.
Perfect. So what was the example? Did you say teachers?
Yes, teachers.
The reason I've avoided the casual here, because I think for our agreement that we just did together, we chose only the salary. We didn't enter rates. That's why I've avoided it. So what I'll do, good point though, we finished with the senior operator. So I'm going to create a new one here and call it teacher. I was going to just say, so we remember it, webinar 20th of April, and create, and we're going to dig into the agreement. We have one for, not a real one, but close enough. I thought we had one for education, but it doesn't matter. We will do the, no, we don't, sorry. We could use it from the hospitality, it's perfectly fine. We will pick this job family, and here's the levels. So those levels do have the rate. So when you're starting someone here, you can say, look, they can be at any of these levels. Then you can do the casual. The only question that we ask you here when you're HR doing this, or when you're creating this relationship between the position and the agreements is roughly what's the budget going to be? Are you thinking of hiring this person about $10,000 a year, 20, 30, 40? So I'm going to book $40,000. This has nothing to do with the recruitment, really. We're doing a feature as part of the org chart to be able to reflect budgets, total cost and the vacancies that I've got, how much they're going to cost me. So if it's casual, we cannot tell you how much it's going to be having an impact on your budget if you don't give us an indication. That's what that is. So just no big deal. Let's put a number in here. To go back to your question, those have got the rates in them. So really, when you're doing this, that's all you've got to do at this stage. And then we will see in a minute when we go to do the request to hire how all that data comes through. We will use this example, guys. Does that make sense at this stage?
Perfect. Yeah. Thanks, Anwar.
Okay, no problems. So the reason I could do multiple of those, because these are pay points. So what we're saying is, for this particular role, they could be starting at any of those levels. We will see when we start to talk to those people, what kind of education they have, what kind of experience they have, how competitive are they, and we will decide which level at the offer approval stage, just before the onboarding. We will then say, okay, we've negotiated with them that it's going to be level 3. And that's the hourly rate, and the casual hour rate in this case from level 3 will appear in the contract. So to be precise, if we can remember, food and beverage attendant under the New South Wales. So if I go back to where that data is coming from, the agreements here, New South Wales there, food and beverage, and these levels in here, that's the casual rate that will be drawn, will be used to show to everyone. But we will do that in a minute, guys. But that's just to make sure everybody on the same page. Cool. So do you have any questions about, I want to do one more thing with those positions, talk about the job description still, but so far any questions about, really this webinar, if we only cover the agreement data, how you capture it, how you collect it, I would be more than happy. I really wanted to focus it on agreements. It's as I said, it's a very, very generic word. We use the word agreement. And so that data sheets, those data tables in the agreements and how they link into the positions. So I don't want to rush that point. Take your time. If you've got any questions at all, that's the biggest takeaway that we want, or the biggest piece of learning that we wanted to achieve in this webinar. Anybody has got any particular unique case that they're not sure if it's going to work with us here, if you're going to be able to capture it within the agreements, let's hear it, please, guys. We're good? Are we good? Jesse, Jasmine, no comments? Because I'm not looking at the comments.
So Jane and Chrissy have just asked, so the hourly casual rate doesn't equate to the necessary daily rate. Is it possible to have a daily rate, daily casual rate rather than hourly?
Yeah.
So we've shown the agreement for casual rates, but there were no hours in there. So Anwar, am I correct that we've just added in the hourly rate and there are no hours associated with that?
Yeah, that's true. That was brought up before, the same point, and I will show you in a minute how it would work. And if you feel that when you're doing the casual, you want to do both hourly and daily, because sometimes you want to offer the casual to be on an hourly basis, sometimes on a daily, then you're quite correct. We will have to add more. To your point, I totally agree with you. To your point, there's a lot of upgrades happening to the agreements. I mean, just overnight, for example, we've added this feature in here. You can go to this job family with these levels and do, for example, bulk update to increase it, say, by 2%. Because I know, for example, in the schools, every 6 months they have to upgrade, do an increase for those awards. And so we did this. A lot of new features coming up. And what I was saying is, I'm acknowledging your point. We want to be able to add a lot more than that for those entries here, because there could be entitlements, for example, you want to add to them. So we want to make it even customizable. So we will have the standard stuff, such as, hourly rate and salary and what we have now. But we want to allow you to add your own custom columns, if you like, call it whatever you want to call it. But the daily thing, clearly, we need to be aware of what it means and all that. So we will take care of that. Definitely. We've heard from a couple of clients right now that they need extra columns because the roles that they do, for example, if you're working overnight, there's a different rate. If you work on the weekends, there's a different rate. If you're working at Christmas, there's a different rate. So that's what you will be able to do as your own custom columns. Does that make sense? Cool. But let's have a look right now. I believe even as it is, although we're fully committed, if you want to use it and the daily casual rate is stopping you from using it, we will turn it around super quickly. Please get in touch. So it's a no-brainer. We will do that for you. There's no even a pushback at all against that point. But I have a feeling if for the casual, all you do is daily, you'll be able to sort of do it as a workaround, assume that the hourly is daily, and everything's going to flow nicely. But if you want to do both, hourly and daily, then you're right. We will have to do that for you pretty quickly, add this extra column. Or it's not about adding a column, it's about more for that column to be hard-coded to hourly the casual itself to be hard coded to hourly or daily, to have a flag that says, is this hourly, is this daily? So make it flexible to how you capture it, and that information will flow through and be visible everywhere. So this rate is daily, this rate is hourly, etc., etc. So we will take care of it for you. Okay, I think we covered that point enough. What I would like to do very quickly in the position is just to bring to your attention. I know that a lot of people on this call don't know about this. The job description here, guys, you can attach your own PDF. Just gonna see if I can find a PDF. I'm gonna stop sharing for privacy purposes momentarily. Give me 2 seconds, guys. Just want to find a PDF that I can attach. Here is it.
And I guess just as we're waiting here, we just have another poll. Are you currently using Remuneration awards grading or banding?
Or both, actually. We should have had Jess, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Where is my job description? I used it yesterday. Here you go. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to attach it now, and then I'll share my screen again. All right, sorry about that, guys. I'm almost there. Okay, here we are. All right, so I'll share my screen again. All right, we jump back here. I've attached the job description against this position, the teacher webinar. And so what we do now, we're going to start a request to hire. So to talk about why we did all the agreement data and how it all works. So we will choose to start the requisition from the org chart, although you can start it from the jobs page. If we do, okay, what we're going to do, as a matter of fact, I'm going to start from the jobs page, because I want to show you how, with this vacant position here, sous chef, how we can fill this position whilst we are starting from the jobs page. Alternatively, from here, we just click on this to start the recruitment, because it's vacant. The only option that you can do here is to, if you're an admin person, you can assign it. If you're not an admin person, you have to follow a proper recruitment process, and you click on this, and this will ask you to choose the request to hire form. And almost everybody on this call is familiar with this. You've been using it. The business as usual from this point onwards, and we will talk about the agreements in a second. On the other hand, I want to explain a feature that we've rolled out recently. So if we go back here, sorry, 1 second. Okay, so this bartender here, let's say we want to fill the bartender role, and they report to Hillary. So if I'm in the jobs here, we did this, some of you are experiencing this, I want to make sure you're comfortable with it now. Because you've purchased the org chart, when you go to do a request to hire now, we're forcing you to choose the report to, because do you remember the end game is we want to make sure the person that you hire will end up in the org chart automatically. So we will not going to let you hire outside of the org chart, even if you choose to start from here. So I'm going to choose, I forgot the name. What was the name of the person? Gosh, sorry guys. I can't remember now. So what we'll do, we will try to cancel this. And we're going to fill this role here, the sous chef, under Percy. Okay, I'm not going to forget now, it's Percy. Okay, so we choose Percy as the report to, and we go next. So then in here, we can on the fly say we want to hire, I don't know, a sous chef, I think. Yep. And then it says how many people you want to hire. I can say 2 or 3, and then we go ahead to the next step. We choose the requisition form, and we are in a requisition form. So no matter where you start from, we want to make sure the person that you hire will end up in the org chart. In this case, because we created 2 new vacant positions, we make sure in the org chart, those vacant positions, they're not proper positions, they are still pending approval. So if you cancel this requisition, or if it gets rejected, those 2 new nodes are sitting in a temporary state in the org chart, and they disappear if this is rejected or if it's cancelled. So we make the creation of the new nodes dependent on the approval of this form, which is really, really good. So to go back to the key topic from this webinar, what we're going to do is we're going to, in this case with the sous chef, choose a permanent full-time, and here's the data that was entered. It's all there. What we're going to do, we're going to change the sous chef to the positions that we decided that we want to use, that we worked together on, which was the webinar position. And then we're going to choose the casual. And that's all the data there. Do you remember when we did this together, guys? This is why you do it, because really no one has to do anything during the request to hire and the recruitment. It's all there. So what we're saying is this person, depending on the person, they will start at either level 1, 2, 3, or 4. And so what we'll do now, we will put a desirable start date here. And we will go ahead and submit this. I'm just choosing myself to make sure we go quickly through this. And instead of going to my emails and approving it from the email or from the app, I'm going to do it from the system because I'm already logged on and I'm the approver as well, so I can approve it from the platform. There's 2 approvals, I believe. It's going to do it quickly, guys.
While you're approving those, Anwar, Erin had a great question. She said, can you select report to as a position only rather than a specific person?
Yeah, 100%. Basically, you're selecting any node. So if I just quickly go back here, any node that is in the org chart, meaning if that node happened to be a vacant position because that manager maybe resigned, something happened and it's vacant, yeah, so be it. See, it doesn't matter, we sort of explain it here in a sense. Select the report to node, generically speaking. So a person or a position is perfectly fine. Anything that's already, it has to be in the org chart, however. So I could be searching.
Amazing, thank you.
No worries at all. So if I'm looking here, for example, see this front of house, just gonna show you an example. I was hoping to show you an example of a vacant position. But nevertheless, I can even be searching on front of the house. Yeah, so definitely whether it's vacant or not makes no difference. Cool. So I'm going to go back in here, guys, to complete the approval. I need to select a workflow. I happen to have more than one workflow. Okay, and now I'm going to jump to the candidates tab. I'm going to link a candidate. Do I have a candidate? Here we go. Link to this job. So now we have a candidate here. Okay, so the idea is we've been talking to this candidate, we've interviewed them, now we're ready to make an offer to them. We're talking to them on the phone, or we're doing it after we spoke with them on the phone. We go to the final offer, and we have to now select the final rate. You can see it's a big edit red button there, so we have to select which one of those. And there's full visibility about what the casual rate is. So you've negotiated level 2, then save, and that's it. That's the final rate here. So when we now go to onboarding, that's what will be used as a final rate. So if I choose something here, such as a new starter, if I look at the employment contract here, it doesn't have any rates or anything, but that's good because we're going to do this together. And that's the cool thing. That's where everything comes together really when it's very powerful. So this contract happened to be very straightforward. The only thing that it contains is the name of the candidate, I believe. You can see their name, last name on the left-hand side, and the company's organization name. I don't even know why we needed this, but nevertheless, you might have different brands or different entities that your HR is recruiting on behalf of all those entities. So that's what this example is. Nevertheless, very important here, we want to grab the casual rate and make sure it gets pre-populated in the contract automatically. That's what we're going to do together, what we're going to be doing together. So we're going to go to doc template. We're going to download whatever the original Word document. I'm going to create under my downloads here a new folder, so we're not confused which document it is. Webinar 20th April 2023, and save it as version 01 in this folder. Alrighty. So now we've downloaded it, we need to open it. I'm just going to go to that folder now quickly, the downloads, webinar, open the document. Word on a Mac is not fantastically responsive. Oh wow, I'm very impressed. It could take 10 minutes to come up sometimes. Very good. So I've got Word open here. That's my document, my templates for the agreement, the contract. So we're going to find somewhere where we talk salary or rates and stuff. This is the start date, for example. Here you can see, do we talk salary, hours, etc., remuneration? Okay, here you go. So we're going to put in here, instead of salary, I'm just rushing this, guys, just to prove the point. Clearly that doesn't make sense. I'm just going to say in here, your hourly rate. I know that's an oversimplification. Your hourly rate is, and I'm going to put now the tags for the hourly rate here. How do I get the tag? It's right on that very convenient page. We're making sure everything's in one place. Remember, I've downloaded the document from here. I'm doing updates to it, and we're going to update it, upload it back in here. And we're providing the tags available for you here. So to grab that tag, I'm going to change to the category of the tags to the requisition, because that's where the remuneration came from. We open this requisition form that we used, and we go to the engagement, and we hover the cursor over this little icon that says copy the tags, and we show you that for the remuneration field, there's a number of tags, because remember the remuneration field is a pretty powerful big field. It knows about your agreement, it knows about the job found, it knows about the hourly rate, the salary, etc. So you can pick any part of that object and insert it anywhere you like in the contract. Very, very flexible. For example, for the final rate, remember, initially when you start the requisition, you could choose for 5 rates. And at the offer, we said, this is the final rate that we agreed to with the candidate. So that's what final rate means. And you have two versions of it, the 4 decimal or the 2 decimal. I'll get the 2 decimal final rate. I'll go to my Word document here, if I can find it there. And we decided to insert it there, like 2 spaces. And that's it. If I save this document now and I go and click on update, upload it, I need to find that folder again there. And now it should work. Save. And what I love it is it's all happening from that one page. And we'll come back to where that page was, just in case you can't remember how to get to it in a second. But let's just make sure that worked first. Can't remember where we entered it. In here. Voila. Your hourly rate is blah. So that 28.46 got, oh my goodness, what happened? Sorry. There's a feature here to go full screen, by the way. Could use this. And that's the hourly rate there. So this hourly rate, I'll come back to this. I'll just going to close this editor, back out of the pack, back out of the candidate, and go all the way back to the agreement. If I can remember, I think it was this award, was this thing here, was level 2 or whatever it is. That is where that rate came from. So what I was saying before, as a workaround, if at the moment your casual rates all daily, although it says hourly, which is not ideal, you can put your daily rates in here, it's still going to work. It's going to go flow all the way to the contract, but it's not ideal. Instead of, it might be confusing for the managers. So we will certainly sort this out for you, but I'm just pointing out that you can if you want it. Nevertheless, do we have any questions now? At this moment now, I've covered everything I wanted to cover in the webinar, which is this, what we call the full cycle of how that data, the pay data that you've captured in one single source of truth, how which was made visible and played a vital role through the entire workflow, from request to hire all the way until the contract is ready to be sent to be signed internally and then sent to the candidate, etc., etc. Do we have any questions, guys?
Anwar, Annalise had a fantastic question, which definitely covers the other example of using the bands and offer approvals. So Annalise wants to see what happens when you offer someone outside of the original approval amount. Would you set up parameters within the approval part of the requisition?
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yep. I like it. It's a great question. What we'll do a quick one here, request to hire for that role. Frank is good. And we'll choose the position that we did. What was the position? Operator something, machine operator? Yep.
That was the one.
And we go next. And so in here, we look at the employment type. The only one that we set up those part-time and full-time. We'll do the permanent full-time. It's level 5.23. Perfect. When I say level, the band. So that's all good. Let's submit the form super quickly. It's going to approve it now 2 times. I've got to choose which recruitment workflow because I happen to have multiple. Alrighty. Then we go into candidates, quickly link an existing candidate. This candidate there. Perfect. Alrighty. So that's the screen that your question is pertaining to right now. Final offer. So because it's a band, this remuneration piece is intelligent enough to know that. This is the one bolded is the one that was selected, but they can change it if they want, so we don't stop them. But that's where we can work with you to create this custom workflow or logic. So for example, they choose this. Do you want them to, as you can see, that's a permanent full-time. So if the salary is between 75 and 85, if I type in here 90,000, 90,000. So it's fine. If I type 120,000, it brought it to the 102, which is the maximum at 20% over. So when you look at 85 plus 20%, I believe it goes to 102. Please correct me, guys. You can see the min and max there. We're making sure it's even clear there. And because it's configured not to allow, by default, not to allow anybody to go over the 20% on top of the max. But we've got options to do more clever configurations where you might be able to say, let them do it. However, it has to go for an approval. A and B and C have to approve it if they go over the 20%. There's various options there that we can work with you to set up the logic here. Does that answer the point?
Yes, I mean, it's very customizable. Perhaps if you select that there, we'll be able to see the example of the additional approval popping up. I know we've probably touched on this in previous webinars on requisition.
Absolutely. Good point. So that's a reminder, this is 102, the salary that you're doing. See in here, we by default, especially in doing a webinar, without any configurations, you have two options. You can submit without approval, or by default also you submit it for approval and the original people that signed off on it during the rec are the approvers. All that can be changed. For example, this can go, meaning no one can submit without approval, or it can stay, but because they've gone within the 20%, there's an approval. But guess what? Different people will have to approve for that purpose. All that above that we discussed is customizable. This is just out of the box, that's how it works. And then that's when they submit.
And this is just blowing me away.
Cool.
For example, the CFO receives a push notification on their phone. You've got an outstanding candidate and they've just gone slightly over, in that negotiation. Their CFO receives their resume, their automated reference check results as evidence of why you're going outside of that, and they can just approve it within 30 seconds.
Beautiful. I just submitted it for approval. I stopped sharing on purpose because I want to open my emails, guys, and find it. I want to show you what it means when it goes to approval. What does the approver see? Bear with me for a second, just waiting to get that email open, and then I'll stop.
We'll run a drum roll.
Thanks for the entertainment contribution, Jasmine. Keep people entertained while I'm doing something boring like this. Come on, what am I looking for? An email about an approval. Is this the one? Sorry, guys. Who did it go to? Just to make sure it's going to come to me. Yeah, it is. Okay. Where is the email? Here you go. No, it says request for approval. It's been approved. Wrong email. 1 second, guys. Status update. I've got so many emails because we've been doing all these approvals and stuff. I probably got confused. Which one is which? Approval. Here you go. Found it, I believe. No, that's the wrong one. Let me make sure. Oh, no. I haven't submitted it. I'm so sorry. It's actually, there's give me a sec. There's a mandatory field, which is the part-time roster on this form that I haven't selected. I've just selected Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It doesn't even make sense it's permanent full-time, but it was just there for example. So now finally I've submitted it for approval. So I can find the email and then I will share again. Sorry, guys. Thank you for your patience with me. Here you go. All right. Cool. So, 1 second. It's asking me for a code.
The anticipation is killing me.
Sorry about that. It's killing me too. I'm totally embarrassed, but here we go. All right. So, alrighty. So we go back to this. We've just submitted it for approval, and I'm going to jump to the other browser where I've opened the approval from the email. That's the email that I got. Where is the email? Doesn't matter. This is the form that comes up. The reason I wanted us to have a look at this, it's not just about approving that form that was submitted. By the way, that was the manager field I was talking about.
Sharing one window,
I'm not sharing?
not entire screen.
Ah, sorry. Oh my God. Terrible performance, isn't it? You guys should rate me 3 out of 10 today. All right. So here we are. Hopefully you can see it. That's a completely different browser because that's where my email, I used Gmail, was open. So this is the form that we submit for approval. But the reason I wanted you to see this, it's more than just a form. This page that the approver is presented with when they click on the link in the email has 3 dimensions to it. It shows them the original requisition that was approved and who approved it and when and everything. The candidate that you're making the offer to, I've got no data, no resume, no cover letter, screening questions. For example, reference checking could be here, screening questions, any data that you deem is important you would like the approver to have access to for them to understand more about the candidate will be all there ready for them. And then the final offer. So what you're saying, this is the person, we want to offer them this money against this requisition. Everything they want. They will never have to ask you for anything for them to make that decision. It's really powerful.
Chef's kiss.
Yeah, and you know, there's probably no more than 30 to 50% of our clients that use this feature. We just did not probably advertise it well enough, and it really kills me when I know that a client, not necessarily you need to use it, guys. I'm really not telling you what to do at all, but if you don't know about it, because you might want to use it, that's really what I'm saying. It's a bit of a shame, and that's why I make the point now in every webinar I explain it. So that's what we call the offer finalization, where you've got the opportunity to even send that offer to be approved. So do we have any questions now? Did I answer the point that was answered? That was asked. I can't even remember what we started with. Does that make sense?
Yeah, Annalise says that was great.
Excellent, good. Any more questions? We've got 8 minutes, and to be honest, I can even stay on for even after the 12 o'clock. So any questions, guys? It's such an important piece, and I want to confirm, if you're paying for the requisition, recruitment, and onboarding, which is 99% of our clients are, you will have a free upgrade to use to take full advantage of the agreements data, agreements and the positions, and make that flow happen for you. From the requisition all the way to the contract, that data is flowing through. That's all free upgrade. I know that 99% of our clients use the requisition, paying for the requisition, etc. So it's all there for you. And we're working with so many clients on a weekly basis. More than 5 or 10 clients are taking it up. I know there's about 5 of us here. I'm personally working with about 6 clients on this upgrade, personally myself. And Ben is working with 5, Chris working with 2 or 3. So Lewis with 20. We're working with all our clients for the upgrade. So we just need you to give us some of your time to work with us on creating the workflow and give it to you to test it and have it approved internally with your managers, with the head of HR, etc. And say, yep, we'll switch to it. Just a matter of the old flow, the old requisitions that you were using will be gone, and the new ones will be available, and that's it. You'll take full advantage of that. So we probably need about 4 to 5 hours of your time over the space of a week or 2, depending how busy or not busy you are, and who you are in terms of in the organisation, how many people you have to get it approved, versus you might be the HR manager working with us and you can make it happen pretty quickly. So a couple of weeks, 5-6 hours, one single resource in HR, and it can be done and dusted. Any more questions, guys, about really, I'll open the floor to anything, to be honest, outside of this topic. I'm more than happy to also answer.
We don't have anything of yet.
I mean,
Perhaps.
my performance was terrible today. I'm very surprised there are no questions. I thought we'd have 50 questions because I've murdered a lot of very interesting points, and I was like cringing all the way through. So thank you.
I think you nailed it. And obviously we have so many various industries. So this feature can be customized in so many different ways, which I understand for some of the HR managers and administrators out there might be a little bit overwhelming, but that's what we're here for, you know, to help you to answer your questions and to really drill in and make that versatile.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Okay. On this basis, maybe I'll just reconfirm the. I'm finalising now a product roadmap for this quarter and the following quarter. But if I can just share with you, the focus for all the research and development is around the org chart and the change of condition, because sort of they're related. The change of condition, you know, as you know, historically, for some of you that we haven't talked to about this topic before, as you know, traditionally, we started with recruitment, and we rolled out the onboarding piece, and it became really, really super cool. Every single client almost took it up. And so we stayed focusing on recruitment and onboarding, you know, request to hire, recruitment, onboarding, integration with payroll, push that new hire details into your payroll system. For about 6 years, that's all we were doing. And then about 3.5 years ago, a lot of our clients started to talk about, why don't we use those same bells and whistles that you have, those same assets like the PAC system that we use for the onboarding, which is, we love it, blah, blah, blah. We want to use it for a change of condition contract and a change of condition, you know, PAC, so to speak, whatever you might need for the purpose of change of condition. And we didn't realize how much it entails. It's a really very, very different world when compared to recruitment. We thought it would be very similar, and that's when we started the journey about 3.5 years ago, to be able to do the full employee life cycle, not just recruit in the business new people, but the existing employees, to be able to affect change of conditions, such as moving someone from, you know, casual to part-time, or part-time to full-time, or moving a person from this team to that team, changing their position, getting a pay rise, etc. Any of the above. And we started to realize it's a big can of worms, and we made a decision that for us to do this really well, we need a proper position library where you have your distinct, unique positions, very well defined and connected with some pay data of some kind, and then we will be able to do this properly. So we ended up doing the org chart, working on the org chart, which works hand in hand with the unique position library, and then we started to work on the change of condition. And that is now in a very, very good place, but also clearly the offboarding, which completes the what we call the employee life cycle. Recruit, change of condition, offboard. That remains the focus for us. On top of that, there is the, you probably noticed those 2 pages here I'm still sharing. Is that right, guys?
No, I stopped it.
You might have noticed sorry, that was one here. You might have noticed those 2 pages here under the employees. They are in beta mode, the dashboard and the search. The employee dashboard, we're doing something from scratch, latest technology, super fast and snappy, to be able to do a full breakdown. This is still, you know, in beta mode, full breakdown on, okay, maybe in our business, we have volunteers and we have employees. I want to see how many volunteers, how many employees. Now, with the employees, I want to see how many part-times and full-times, how many vacant positions, how many contractors, etc. Full breakdown on all that stuff, and super fast, and be able to drill into the data. And the employee search is going to be focusing on, it's not very pretty, guys, but it's we haven't styled it properly yet. We just make sure the backbone is working. it's going to be ultra fast, and you're going to be able to do a proper search based on show me the part-times, show me the full-times, show me the etc., etc. And do you see how fast that is? I mean, this is ridiculous. It looks like faster than Word or whatever, which is running on your own machine. It really is ridiculously fast. You probably noticed how quick that was. So that's really exciting. This page with a dashboard and the full employee life cycle remain the key focus from the product roadmap point of view. Anybody has any questions about the roadmap, guys? Okay. I'm very, very pleased we were able to cover what we wanted to cover within the webinar, and thank you for being awesome audience. Did we complete all the questions, Eddie, in particular about the product that we discussed? And did you have a question about the presenter? Don't do that because it's going to be very bad today. But thank you for being thank you for being great audience, guys. We really appreciate your time. I know everybody's busy. Have an awesome day, and see you on the next webinar, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Woo-hoo. Thanks, everybody.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye. Stop the share.